So when this show first started, I thought to myself, either isekai are getting better or I'm getting trashier. And probably it is both, but in the case of this show in particular, after now watching 3 episodes, this is way better than it had any right to be. And I think, given the poster image, and I think a lot of what you see at surface level just as an outsider looking in, it's not going to look anything too crazy. But by the end of the 3rd episode, I truly think we have something special on our hands. That if given a couple of seasons, yeah, we got something truly great. I'm not saying it's going to be a masterpiece, but yeah, this is legitimately interesting. From how they handled the concept of slavery in this world to, most importantly, the idea of a tutorial mode. And what I mean is, throughout watching the episode, I even thought to myself, it almost feels like he has like kind of the tutorial training wheels on. Like, yeah, things are going easy, but that's how these shows go, right? Like your MC doesn't run into problem until the plot needs it, right? Like he just naturally, no, like the goddess not only sent this man back a year before shit hit the fan, most importantly, she acknowledges that things will start getting more challenging for him now that essentially tutorial mode is coming to an end. So people that normally wouldn't cause him issues will actually raise up concerns. And it's so interesting because when's the last time we've seen a goddess not only treat your MC nicely, but give him a year head start, but most importantly, give him the opportunity to adjust to a foreign world so that you not only explain why he has, because literally fish out of water situation, okay, it's just the plot being the plot. No, it's actually explained that no, she gave him the buffer window to get accustomed to this world, his new powers and everything, before shit starts hitting the fan. Yeah, I'm already gonna order a season 2. That's all I'm saying. Like, this show is surprisingly great so far. Now, of course, if you want to support my work and see my full thoughts to these episodes, of course, I have a Patreon where you got those full live reactions available exclusively over there. So, we left last week's episode with slavery being introduced. Isekai, surprise, right? Slavery, it's always around. The thing, and like I mentioned last week, is like a character immediately saying, I don't feel comfortable with that is refreshing because often with a lot of these shows, they just adjust because like, well, do as the general folk do around me. Like, I get it, like different time periods will have, in different worlds will have it, but the idea of if you grew up in an environment where that shit's wrong, if you immediately flip your tune just because, well, I'm in a new environment, it means you've always been okay with it, and the only reason that stopped you was because it's illegal. Now, granted, there's ways to write it differently, characters who have been majorly wronged, therefore, if they have no other option. So, but yeah, like for the most part, your character should have a natural pushback against it. And even though it is technically a lot nicer than most worlds, it still is a form of slavery. It's basically like a CEO pointing a gun to your head saying you work for me for life, unless otherwise specified. But yes, there is, some human rights here in terms of you can't break their moral compass, and they do got some safety blankets. So yes, it is better than a vast majority of these worlds, but it's still a little questionable. But I understand why a character whose natural instinct was, I don't want to force someone under a slave contract, went from that to, okay, it's better than I thought. So I think it doesn't abandon his moral compass, and I think despite still hitting a lot of the cliches like, oh, most of the time these characters go from, I don't know if I want it, oh, cute waifu, of course I want it. And then it's weird because then they start falling in love, but there's a slave contract involved. Here, it's just like, it just feels like a questionable job contract, but because of his natural niceness, he clearly isn't forcing them to do anything they don't want. And I think that's what kind of separates him from a lot of these shows. And the most interesting thing is the sexy woman who's selling us said servants. She apparently has had this girl, Sophia, for like 50 years and has never sold her to anyone. In fact, we get the confirmation that no matter how much money was thrown her way, she refused to sell her off, which is, I gotta admit, there's probably some very questionable places in this world that sell people off and aren't as nice as this. It's pretty obvious. It's clear that this was not one of those places. So the idea that she not only sold her to our boy, it's something that, like, for once you probably are gonna find peace in your cursed body, because essentially, like, she lost part of her ear, she's cursed, she can't use magic, and just obviously she was a lot more frail until our boy pulled a psychopath move. And I love the idea too because she's reasonably suspicious compared to Maria. Maria is just like, yeah, let's go. You want me to sleep with you? Oh shit, you're hot. I kind of want to do that. Wait, did I say that out loud? And he's like, just clean my room. That's all I need. So she walks in because she's suspicious the whole time. Sophia like sees that he has something mysterious. And she walks into our boy being a psychopath, like cutting his hand. It's looking like blood magic, and he's like talking some mad shit about Maria. and she's reasonably concerned. No, it turns out he was purposely hurting himself so he could continuously use his healing spells to level it up so that he could then save our girl. Like, it's understandable why someone who's been so skeptical of people is now bowing at the knee saying, "Master, I serve you, not just for now, but for life." And given that elves live a lot longer than humans, I'm pretty sure she means that no matter how many hundreds of years pass after his death, she probably will never take up another contract again. Like, that's some big loyalty there, and I don't blame her in the slightest. It does definitely have, like, a lot of the fundamental cliches that this genre and style of anime are known for, between the, main character fish out of water, of course he gets a slave, clearly the waifus are gonna fall in love, but then it's gonna be in that questionable territory of like, well, they're technically a slave, they can't say no. Oh wait, this show actually kind of went a different course, saying that it can't go against their fundamentals or their beliefs. So like, as long as it's stuff they want, you can't exploit them the same way you can in a lot of worlds. Okay, but still, it's just gonna be a generic romance that the only reason they fall in love is because he freed them. Well, in terms of Maria, she's kind of like okay right to begin with. She just kind of had a crush right at the beginning, so you can kind of just give her a pass. And then when it comes to Sophia, well, it's a completely different experience. She's gone how many decades alone in thinking that she was cursed and broken, and yes, she's had some protection and loyalty in the form of her mistress, but yeah, like, you understand and you see a much better progression. The show is also humorous when it comes to ideas like Maple the Spider, but in general, like, this show, it literally has one of the most generic and shitty looking poster images of the season. Yet I ain't gonna deny the fact that this is actually a fairly unique fantasy show through and through. And I think the goddess stuff is what really brings it into that next level. Remove the goddess stuff, you have something that's a good show, but it's not revolutionary. But the idea of not only throwing your MC a year in the past before shit hits the fan with this crazy bitch nun and her sisters alike, you also are acknowledging stuff that usually you just kind of have to assume is what's happening. Like, well, he's the MC, he's on tutorial mode. No, like, the goddess is straight up saying, hey, make this quick. Here, I'm gonna drop some information. Oh yeah, that one church? Yeah, they're bullshit. Don't ever lump me in with them. There's a real religion, but as human history normally does, they use religion for their own bullshit and their own power, and they make up their own bullshit. Also, you're on tutorial mode. It's gonna come to an end soon, but I believe you can do it. That shit in the world building really elevates this show, and I think, yes, as an outsider looking in, it's gonna be easy to see, like, why do people like the show? But it actually is pretty good. It's been funny, it's been generic at times, but the core ideas that build this show up, yeah, are actually pretty damn great if you ask me, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to develop over the course of this season, and I already want a season 2. Of course, you let me know your feelings and thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell. And as I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Kristen Navidad, Kendro Tabashi, Stinamore, FFFan2003, Renee Villarreal, Austin Henshaw, Nick Howard, and we also have a DYR, so I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.